This video, I can't actually remember it all, but I remember some points of it, and it was really good. It kind of explains immigration, how we can't have all the immigrants come in, and explain why it's bad to have mass immigration. So let's check this out.
Some people say that mass immigration into the United States can help reduce world poverty. Is that true? Well, no, it's not. And let me show you why. This gumball represents the 1 million legal immigrants that the United States has taken every year on average since 1990.
Yep.
Now, who in the world deserves our humanitarian compassion? The World Bank has one measure of the desperately poor of the world. They make less than $2 a day. And how many people make less than $2 a day in the world? We'll start with Africa. In Africa alone, there are 650 million people who make less than $2 a day. 650 million. And in India, another 890 million people, desperately poor. China adds another 480 million people, making less than $2 a day. And unfortunately, the rest of Asia has a heartbreaking 810 million people.
That's insane.
Who the World Bank says.
So you can see when say you can replace the whole of Australia in a heartbeat, and how we have to keep our own country, not just let the rest of the world in. Because you could let the rest of the world in, this is where this is going. You could let a fraction of people in and fully replace our country, mass overpopulate us, cause us disaster, and it wouldn't even help these countries with how many people they have.
Make less than $2 a day. And finally, there's 105 million of Latin America's population that are desperately poor. All told, the World Bank says there are 3 billion people in the world.
3 billion.
3 billion people who are desperately poor, making less than $2 a day. That's 3,000 gumballs. And every year, we take 1 million and suggest that we've somehow made a humanitarian difference. Of course, we don't pull our immigrants from these desperately poor populations, do we? These people are too poor, too sick, too disconnected to make it here as immigrants. We tend to pull our immigrants out of the better off poor of the world. And Mexico tends to define the type of immigrant that we bring here because the plurality of people come from Mexico. And Mexico is poor. How many people in the world live in countries that have average incomes lower than that of Mexico? And the World Bank tells us that that number is these 3 billion plus another 2.6 billion people. 5.6 billion people in the world who live in countries with average incomes below that of Mexico. That's 5,600 gumballs. And so what is it that the elites are telling?
That's insane. They need to fix their own country.
Us?
We can't just give away our country and not make a difference.
Telling us that when we take this 1 million immigrants, that we somehow or another are tackling world poverty. And we have to do it regardless of the effect on our unemployed, the working poor, the most vulnerable members of our society, regardless of the effect on our natural resources.
Yep.
Even if we went by the most radical proposals in Washington, which are to actually double our immigration to 2 million a year, which would totally overwhelm our physical, natural, and social infrastructure.
So destroy your countries to say you're helping when you're doing nothing really. Melissa, why are other countries' population problems our problem? Exactly. If you want to overpopulate and not help your own people, it's not our problem. We can't save you. As bad as it is, too bad. We can't just destroy our country for nothing. Thank you, Melissa. That's right. It's not our problem.
We couldn't make a noticeable difference. And we may be really hurting the impoverished people of the world.
This is the best point coming up.
Because the million that we do take are among the most energetic, often the better educated, certainly the most dissatisfied people that if they did not immigrate would be the agents for change. to improve the lot of all the people in these countries.
Yep.
The true heroes in the global humanitarian field are the people in these countries who have the wherewithal to immigrate to another country, but instead stay in their countries, to apply their skills to help their fellow countrymen. Unfortunately, our immigration system tends to entice these very type of people to abandon their countrymen.
Yep.
The impossibility of making even a dent is actually worse than it looks here. Because last year, when we took 1 million immigrants, these countries added, births over deaths, 80 million more people into the impoverished populations.
That's crazy.
And this year...
So the thing is, what he's saying here is, if we're only taking the good workers, and we know that's not true in Australia anymore, we just take in a lot of shit, but if you just take their good workers away, their countries aren't going to get better. Because every time someone is a decent worker or gets a good education or can do something better for the country, they migrate to a Western country. So anyone who could have helped that country comes here. So that countries are left shit. So who's helping by letting them in? It's not helping that country. They're just running from that country.
Here, Congress is bringing in 1 million legal immigrants. And this year, according to the United Nations, these countries are expected to add another 80 million people. And next year...
Maybe we do need to send the condoms overseas. Maybe that is something we need to do.
You can be quite sure that Congress, unless stopped by the American voters, will bring in another 1 million immigrants. And these countries, unfortunately, will be adding another 80 million people into these impoverished nations. We could take 5 million a year, but we'd never get ahead of what's happening in these countries. Not in this century. Don't you see? Immigration can never be an effective or significant way to deal with the suffering people of the world.
Just makes us suffer.
They have to be helped where they live.
Yep.
99.9% of them will never be able to immigrate to a rich country. There's no hope for that. They have to bloom where they're planted. The only place that 99.9% of these people can be helped is where they live. Mm-hmm. Let's help them there.
There we go. That's a really good video. I'll link it in the chat, but it just kind of explains, like, mass immigration, if anyone argues that it's going to help them, it doesn't help them. People are running from their countries instead of helping them to try and take our benefits. And then, let's be honest, we're getting a lot of crap now because they want mass immigration here. That's why we have machete crime. That's why we have fraud. That's why we have all these problems. That's why we have mass immigration of countries. So we'll just set up our country over there. Then we'll just take it over and import the rest of everyone. It's fucking shocking. But you will never tackle the problems of them countries if you so-called take all their good workers out of that country and just let it rot for everyone else, all the other 5 billion or whatever it was. It's crazy. Yes, it's brain drain on the third world. That's right. It's brain drain. Taking out the smart people out of countries that could fix it and bringing them here. So you're screwing over the countries for our benefit. But I wish that was just the case, but we know that's long gone. The myth of good immigration, look what's happened here and around the West.